Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 point guards in the NBA heading into the 2020-2021 season. A few things about these rankings. I'm ranking these players based on the position that I view them as. It won't necessarily be the position that they're playing most often in this season, but it's what I view as their natural position. In addition to that, this is not taking into consideration anything that has happened in the 5 to 7 games thus far in the 2020-2021 NBA season. This is what I thought heading into the year and will not be considering what we've seen thus far in this season. Also, when I am providing my commentary on the top 10 players, I'm mostly going to be explaining why I have each player above their rivals, because obviously we all know who these players are and what they do well. So I think that it's more important that I explain my thoughts in ranking them where I have them. However, before I get too far into it, I want to remind you all to leave a like and subscribe. I've been appreciating all of the support that I've been receiving lately, and I hope to see that continue. Now, without further ado, let's dive into these rankings. We'll start off with some honorable mentions. I have two guys here, Jamal Murray and Kemba Walker. Obviously, Murray had a huge breakout in the bubble last year for the Denver Nuggets, where he proved himself to be a very high-level shot maker who also can bring some playmaking to the table. That's not necessarily where his strengths are, but because he plays alongside Nikola Jokic, that's covered up a little bit, and he is still able to make the plays that he needs to. He's just not necessarily the pick-and-roll genius that someone like a Chris Paul or a Steph Curry would be for your team. In Kemba Walker, you have a player who is outstanding when healthy, but he's struggled to stay on the court, and even when he is on the court, he's hindered a little bit by his ongoing injuries. But when he is healthy, he is outstanding as a shot-first point guard, and he still deserves to be, at least in the conversation, as a top 10 guy here. So, now that we've covered the honorable mentions, we can dive into the top 10. Number 10, I have Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Now, Young is ranked above Jamal Murray and Kemba Walker here because he is just an outstanding offensive player. On his own, he can make your team a very good offensive team while he's on the court. Last year, the Hawks really didn't have too much going on around him, and he was still able to drag them to at least being a mediocre offense while he was on the court, and when he was off the court, they just got absolutely destroyed and couldn't buy a bucket. So the fact that they've now surrounded him with better players and we could see what he looks like on a truly good team could lead to Trae Young vaulting up this list. He certainly has shown some great results thus far in this season, and I certainly would not count Trae out from being a top 5 or 6-ish point guard at the conclusion of this year. At number 9, we have Jrue Holiday. Holiday is not nearly the offensive weapon that Young is. He's not the shooter, he's not the passer, and he also just doesn't have as much gravity, which is a huge part and an underrated part of being a good offensive weapon. But where Jrue really separates himself from, honestly, the three guys we've talked about so far is on the defensive end of the floor. He is legit one of the best defensive stoppers in the entire NBA. He can guard 1 through 3, and honestly, he can match up with some 4s as well because of how strong he is. And he also is terrific at moving his feet. He has active hands, is great at knocking the ball away as an off-the-ball defender as well. So on the defensive end, he just brings so much value that it puts him above the other guys that we've talked about thus far. And let's not understate his offensive abilities either. He's not a star playmaker, but he's above average. He's a solid shooter, was 34% last year, but I would expect that to improve this year now that he's playing alongside Giannis. Thus far in the season, we've seen his step-back three-point jumper look outstanding, and he's also terrific in transition where he's able to use his strength and patience and change of pace to really take advantage of the defense and score at a high level with his mid-range floaters and layup. So Jrue Holiday is certainly in the conversation as a top 10 point guard in the NBA, and in my opinion, because of his defensive versatility, he belongs in the top 10. I've got him at number 9. At number 8, we have Kyle Lowry. Lowry is almost at the same level as Holiday on the defensive end of the floor. I would say that he's slightly worse, or not even worse, but just slightly less valuable than Drew Holiday on defense because he's a bit smaller and is not quite able to guard some of the bigger wings that you can trust Drew Holiday matching up against. But he's still great defensively, always plays hard, has a terrific motor, takes charges at a very high level. You can call him a flopper if you want, but it's really just him playing hard and doing what it takes to win. But even though he is a slightly and ever so slightly inferior defender to Drew Holiday, he's above Holiday because he is a better offensive player by a pretty significant margin. Lowry has become one of the better three-point shooters in the entire NBA. Last season, he shot, I think, like 37%, and it was his worst three-point percentage in years. So obviously, he is a very, very high-level three-point shooter, and he's also a terrific playmaker as well. He, year after year, posted high assist rates and low turnover rates, and the advanced statistics love him and find him to be one of the most impactful players in the entire league. The fact that he is all the way down here at number 8 on this top point guards list is a testament to just how strong this position is in the NBA at this point. I think that Kyle Lowry is something close to the 20th best player in the NBA, and the fact that he's the 8th best point guard is super, super impressive and just shows you the strength of this position at this point in the league. At number 7, we have Russell Westbrook. Westbrook gets a lot of hate, but he still is a terrific player. On defense, he is not good, but he's also not terrible, as he's able to generate high steal rates because of his risk-taking stuff, and sometimes that does come back to bite him in the butt, and occasionally he can be beaten off the dribble because of some poor decision-making in that capacity. He's also not a very good team defender, is not always in the right position in rotations, but on the ball, he's probably a little bit above average, and with that in combination with his excellent rebounding, he's probably the best rebounding guard in the entire NBA, unless I'm forgetting about someone obvious here. And the offense is just outstanding. Yes, he can't shoot, but that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Well, it does when you're trying to win a championship, but does it impact how effective of a player Russell Westbrook is, at least in the regular season? No, not really. He's still able to put up high scoring numbers on average to slightly above average efficiency, and he's a plus passer as well. I just don't get the hate with Russell Westbrook. He's still a super impactful player, and he still belongs in the top 10 of these type of lists. I've seen people saying that they would prefer Ja Morant and view Ja as a better player than Russ at this point, and that just doesn't make sense to me, because even though it doesn't always translate to winning, Russell Westbrook is a terrific player, and I think that that has to be valued, and that's why I've got him here at 7. At number 6, we have Ben Simmons. Now, Simmons is above Westbrook here because of his defense. Westbrook, like I said before, is right around a league average defender. Well, Ben Simmons is genuinely one of the 3 or 4 best defenders in the entire NBA. He's probably the single best perimeter defender. He does an outstanding job of matching up with multiple positions. He has very active hands that allows him to force steals. He's a great weak side shot blocker and rim protector, which is super valuable to a team. And with the impact defense stuff, the defensive playmaking, alongside his ability to just be so versatile and essentially guard 1 through 5, just makes him so valuable defensively. And on offense, he is underwhelming at times, but still terrific. I'd like to see him get a few more opportunities in a Nikola Jokic or Jusuf Nurkic type role, where he's playing in the short role. I guess Draymond Green would be another comparison, in the pick and roll, where he can catch the ball at the elbow in a 4-on-3, and with his passing decision, his basketball genius, really take advantage of that and find open players. And I'm hopeful that the additions of guys who are capable of being strong secondary ball handlers like Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, can make Ben Simmons be able to play in that role more frequently. But at this point, he's not able to really elevate himself into the top 5 of these rankings because of how much he struggles to create his own shot. Yes, he made an All-NBA team last year, which is outstanding, but I think he only averaged like 15 or 16 points per game, which is underwhelming to say the least for someone at Ben Simmons' level. If he can improve on his own shot making, he's got a chance to be an MVP candidate and a genuine top 3 point guard in the NBA. At number 5, we have Kyrie Irving. Now, this is a debate that I would really like to hear your guys' opinions on. Kyrie Irving versus Ben Simmons. Simmons is clearly the better defender. He's the better transition offensive player. And he may or may not be a better passer. I think that that's something you can debate. But Kyrie Irving is clearly a better scorer. His pull-up three-pointer is deadly. He's a great pick-and-roll player. And he also does a fantastic job as a ball handler and really can just be the captain of an offense in a way that Ben Simmons just hasn't elevated himself to being yet. But there are defensive weaknesses. He's not an outstanding rebounder. But just because of the offensive capabilities alone, he belongs in the conversation to be a top 5 point guard in the NBA. I have Kyrie slotting in at number 5 here, and so far the results in the opening games of the 2020-2021 season have been quite promising. Like I said before, though, this is not factoring in those results. Still, Kyrie Irving is a top 5-ish point guard in the NBA, and I have him right here at number 5. At number 4, we have Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns. This was one of the biggest blockbuster trades of the offseason. Paul was probably the single best player to change hands, and thus far the results have been fantastic with him on the Phoenix Suns as they have raced out to the league's best record. Paul is one of the best pick and roll players in the NBA. We've seen him elevate guys like DeAndre Jordan to being far past the player that they actually were, and I believe DJ made an All-NBA team. Clint Capella was like a borderline all-star one year, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, Chris Paul has taken average centers and made them all-stars because of his passing abilities. He's also a great shooter, which is something that really gets undervalued and not talked about enough, because Chris Paul can absolutely knock down shots at a very high level. And on defense, he's a plus defender as well. Yeah, he doesn't lead the league in steals and steal rate like he did in his prime, but he still can be a defensive playmaker. He can still poke the ball out on occasion. He's such a smart player, and that makes him one of the better team defenders in the league. And you also just get the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score or even in the advanced metrics with his leadership ability and overall just knowledge of the game. Chris Paul is certainly a top 15 player in the NBA and a top 5 point guard. I've got him here at number 4. And I think that this is maybe the easiest spot in the entire list here. I don't really think that there's an argument that he is worse than Kyrie Irving or Ben Simmons, but I also don't think that there's an argument that he's better than Damian Lillard, who I have at number 3 on this list. Now, I get that this is probably not a super popular opinion, and I might have some Trailblazers fans at my throat after this one, but I love Damian Lillard. He's one of 5 or 6 players in the entire NBA who I've gone out and bought a jersey for, because I just think that he's fantastic. What he brings to his team on the offensive end of the floor is unrivaled, except for guys like Luka Doncic and James Harden. There are very few players that are able to impact the game in the same way that Dame does. He is lethal as a pull-up threat, can essentially shoot it all the way out to like 35 feet, which is just so dangerous. It requires defenses to pick him up from almost half court, which is just absurd. He changes the dimensions of the game and makes it easier for his team to play offense in that manner. He's also a great pick and roll player, and we've seen him establish a terrific chemistry with Jusuf Nurkic. He also is a pretty solid rebounder for a guard. He's not quite Russell Westbrook in that capacity, but he does pull down boards at a high level for a point guard. And he's a great passer, a great ball handler, and a really good finisher at the rim as well. He's also improved his in-between game and gotten his floater to a point where it's a semi-efficient shot, which is quite rare, as the floater is genuinely one of the worst shots in the NBA. But his shooting combined with his playmaking ability just makes him such a lethal on-ball threat. The reason why he's below the top two guys here is because of the off-the-ball stuff. He struggles after teams force the ball out of his hands. We saw it 2 years ago in the Warriors series. We saw it 3 years ago in the Pelicans series. We saw it last year against the Lakers. Once Damian Lillard has the ball forced out of his hands and he's relegated to being an off-the-ball player, we see him get lackadaisical and just kind of stand around, and that just isn't helping his team win. If Terry Stotts could develop a system similar to Steve Kerr's, where you've got all kinds of off-the-ball movement going on, and Dame bought into that and went through all the motions as an off-the-ball player, it would make him that much better, and I hope that we can see that element of Dame's game continue to grow as his career continues. At number 2, we have Luka Doncic. Now, you really could debate Luka versus Dame. I think that that's probably one of the more interesting debates in the entire NBA at this point, as these two players are quite similar in their offensive impact, and honestly quite similar in their defensive impact as well, as both of them are pretty bad on that end. Luka's better than Dame, though, because he does have good size, he does have very high basketball intelligence, and that allows the Mavericks to really be careful about what they match him up against. If you have a non-threat at the point guard position, such as someone like Raul Neto, you can have Luka match up with that guy and hide him on the other team's point guard. Against a wing, Luka has the size and length and strength to really be able to match up against any wing player. Although he struggles against good ones, it allows them to hide him on the worst wing on the other team. And he has the strength and intelligence to match up with big guys, and if you have a non-threat in the post, Luka can take them on as well. So he basically can guard 1 through 5. He doesn't do it well whatsoever, and usually when you're saying someone can guard 1 through 5, you're talking about someone like Ben Simmons or OG Anunoby, who can genuinely make an impact and guard 1 through 5 well. But Luka is able to do that, and it allows the Mavericks to cover up for his defensive weaknesses and hide him on the worst player on the other team. Whereas if you put Dame on a weak offensive big man, he's still going to be able to score on Dame because he's just such a small guy. So Luka's frame and size makes him a better defender than he gets credit for. And on the offensive end, he might have passed James Harden at this point for the most impactful offensive player in the league. He is just so lethal in the pick and roll. He's the best pick and roll player in the game, as he has so many options. He can get to the rim and finish. He has a very efficient floater that he's great at knocking down. He can pull up from 15 or 18 feet and knock down a mid-range jumper. He can come around to screen and pull up and shoot a 3. That's the one area of his game on offense that really needs to improve. If he can get the 3-point shooting to 36% instead of 32%, watch out. And I know that he hasn't shot the ball well so far this year, but I think that that will probably regress back to the mean, and we'll see him have a hot stretch where he gets his percentages to a much more respectful point. But with the shooting, the pick and roll mastery alongside some pretty solid isolation play, as well as he has a great step back and sidestep 3-point shooting, as well as some undervalued finesse and quickness that allows him to beat his man off the dribble. Luka has a very real case to be the best offensive player in the NBA, and that, in combination with his defense being better than Dame's, would lead me to put him over Dame, as I did here. Luka's my number 2 point guard in the NBA. And at number 1, we have Steph Curry. Now, this was a pretty easy placement. Going into the year, I don't think that there was much of a debate that Curry is the best point guard in the league, and although he has struggled thus far, we've seen how dangerous of a threat he is on the offensive end as defenses continue to swarm him despite some shooting lulls. Steph is the best off the ball player in the NBA, and that, as well as some more very good pick and roll play where he's a fantastic passer and playmaker, a great shooter, and has a good floater as well as being able to get some steals quite a bit. He always posts high steal rates and works pretty hard on the defensive end of the floor, is able to cover up for his defensive flaws despite him being so small and having such a slight frame. Steph Curry is the best point guard in the NBA at this point. Luka is coming for the throne, and we could see a change of the guard in this upcoming season, but at this point, I don't think you can put anyone above Curry. The two-time MVP, and forever NBA superstar, is probably a top 15 player in NBA history. And I think that we all need to sit back and continue to bask and enjoy in his greatness, because Steph Curry is a once-in-a-lifetime type player, and we just have to enjoy it while we have him. That is my top 10 point guards in the NBA list. Let me know what you agreed with and disagreed with in the comment section down below. We can run through it one more time. Number 1, Steph Curry. Number 2, Dame Lillard. Number 3, Wow, I said it wrong. 1, Steph Curry. 2, Luka Doncic. 3, Dame Lillard. 4, Chris Paul. 5, Kyrie Irving. 6, Ben Simmons. 7, Russell Westbrook. 8, Kyle Lowry. 9, Drew Holiday. And 10, Trae Young. Leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. That's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you all again very soon.